As fantastic a CFP as Mel O is, as wonderful an attorney as I am, and as good as Stormy is at whatever it is he does, please do note that anything said in our podcasts are our opinions alone and are not meant to be taken as financial or legal advice.
Welcome to Finances, the Other F Word, a Gen Xer podcast for musicians and music lovers, where we discuss money and music without all the pretentious bullshit. Here are your hosts, Zoe Terry, attorney at large, Stormy Andrews, founder of Yokel Local Marketing, and Mel O, certified financial planner and author of Finances, the Other F Word. Listener discretion is advised.
Hey guys, welcome to Finances, the Other F Word. Today on the podcast, at Stormy's suggestion, we are actually going to talk about Las Vegas hustles.
Because I'm a hustler, baby.
And how are you singing that?
I just want you to know.
How are you singing that?
Oh, that's soprano.
It's soprano? Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
absolutely.
Are you sure it's not?
I'm pretty sure you told me it was soprano.
Yeah, not
So-
what did you think it was?
Acapella?
Yeah.
That's not a cappella,
Not right
soprano.
at all. No, that's
there
totally
it is.
okay. Yeah, we are light Zoe today. She will be joining us on the next podcast. But the last podcast we recorded was the Halloween episode, and I kind of got on a little bit of tangent about how a lot of the guys get played by a lot of the girls that come down here, and basically the expenses on the strip. And I'm going to finish rounding out that conversation. But first, I wanted to talk about a couple things as far as some of the scams that have happened in Las Vegas.
What?
Yeah.
Scams happen in Las Vegas?
Scams,
Come on.
I know.
Come
I know.
on.
Have you,
I don't believe it.
Did you ever, I'm a documentary nerd, did you ever see like any of the documentaries about how people cheat at gambling and shit?
Yeah, a few of them were a loose adaptation of my life.
Was it?
Yeah,
really?
absolutely.
And which ones were those?
Well, I used to take a quarter and tape some tape to it.
With
a
a string?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah?
That was me. I invented that.
Really?
In third grade.
Wow. Third grade, you started early.
I'm a baller.
Well, I called up some of my friends who work in the casinos, and one of the things that they said is that, which I had noticed because I don't gamble, is that they had started changing, especially a lot of the casinos on Fremont used to do single deck blackjack. And the single deck blackjack was supposed to be so it was going to be easier for you to win and whatever.
Okay.
But it ended up making more card counters come out.
Really?
Yeah, which I've watched a documentary on card counting. I still can't understand it.
Right.
I don't know how they do it. So now if you go into specifically the strip casinos, you see that it's like at least two, but it's usually 3 to 4
Decks.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Decks, so you can't cut them. And then I saw this one documentary a long time ago where there was a lady that was drinking from a coffee cup, like one of the white ceramic coffee cups that you see in every restaurant.
Okay.
And she'd sit there and watch somebody gamble for a while, and she'd drink her coffee. And, then she's like, man, you're doing great. She's like, I'm, going to tap your chips for good luck. So she'd tap the top of the chip and she'd walk away. Well, she had double-sided tape on the bottom.
No.
So she taps the biggest stack of money, and then she just cruises away. And I always remember that. And then, of course, there's tons of documentaries about, the eye in the sky and what they watch and that kind of stuff. So, but this is more on the investment front since we are a financial podcast, and then we'll get to some of the fun stuff. But we actually just had one that came out of the SEC here, which I thought was really interesting. This was just actually last month of this year. And apparently there was a gentleman who was a baggage handler for an airline.
Okay.
Okay. And he decided that he was going to create a business. And you guys can Google this, but I'm not going to air this man's dirty laundry. And the name of the business is hilarious. But anyway, and so what he did was he basically went around and he told all of his coworkers that he had nearly $1 million in his retirement account.
Okay.
And he took a picture of a statement and then cropped it where it just showed like the million whatever dollars he had in his account.
Okay.
Then all of his coworkers gave them all of their usernames and passwords to get on to their retirement accounts, I guess, to rebalance. The guy was not.
Wait a second. All the coworkers gave this guy their username and password to their bank accounts.
To their 401ks.
And why did they do this? Because he said he'll make them $1 million too?
Right, because this guy was passing himself off as an investment advisor, saying that he had the $1 million in his account. And what ended up happening was that when they first caught him, the SEC, we've talked about before, this is a Security Exchange Commission, and they're one of the watchdog groups that watchdog us as investment advisors. They sent him a cease and desist order in August 2017. Okay, so this is going to come up again as far as how many years this takes to actually get something through. And obviously he did not. And at the time of the cease and desist order of August 2017, the gentleman had over 900 clients with account values worth more than $172 million. And
how much?
$172 million.
Okay.
So, and I don't really know how this worked because the complaint that I'm looking at does not say if he charged them a management fee or if he maybe swindled some of their money or embezzled it. I'm not really sure. I mean, with a 401k, it doesn't work like a bank account. I mean, you can't really send, I guess, if you needed to send money out of your 401k to a third party, there's forms that you can sign for that, but you can't really
Get the money out, right?
Yeah, go into somebody's 401k. There's tax consequences. There's all kinds of shit that goes on. So you can't just decide that that's going to be, you're going to move that over to your personal account. And so he was ordered to pay in disgorgement. And this is sad that Zoe's not here today because this is a legal term that I did not know. What did you think it meant, Stormy?
Well, I'll leave my personal business out of this.
Yeah, so now he's getting all shy. You should have heard him talking so much shit before we started recording. But disgorgement means repayment of ill-gotten gains. So this gentleman was ordered to pay $144,485 of disgorgement, along with $9,803 in prejudgment interest, which I've also never heard that term before, and a civil penalty of $50,000. But I don't necessarily know what they did. I mean, so they fined him, but he doesn't have a license to take. He's a baggage handler.
Right.
So how do you punish them? So like in this case, according to this, it does not show that that he had to do any type of sentence or any type of prison time.
So maybe he didn't take anyone's money.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he just held himself out as something he wasn't. Right. And the SEC doesn't let you do that. You can't hold yourself out as an investment. Well, unless you're, I almost said something bad.
Yeah.
Unless you're that one lady who I just really don't like, but we'll let that sit right there on a shelf. I had to catch, sometimes I do censor myself. It's very rare, but it does happen. We had a big one come out November of 2018, coming out of Las Vegas with a Japanese businessman who had it was basically like a medical billing. So we'll get into this in a credit episode, but you can do collections of different things, and you can sell that debt. And this is what sometimes happens when you have a collection item that just follows you for the rest of your life because you haven't addressed it. And we'll get into that in the credit episode. But in this specific case, what the guy did was he had clients in Japan, who's Japanese.
Okay.
And then he had people here.
Okay.
And he told the people in Japan that he owned a medical billing, collections company, and he solicited money from them. And it was supposed to be used for him to go out and be able to buy these accounts that had went into collection so that his company could then take over the process of trying to get the money back from the people who owed the money.
Makes sense.
Right? So basically just selling and buying your collections, which happens, that's just that all the time. Yep. And there's different ramifications for that. And so basically the thing that made this one such a big deal is that he took money from over 10,000 Japanese residences, and obviously, surprise, surprise, did not use the money for any of that stuff. And what he ended up doing was when he got fined, he ended up getting hit with $1,129,409,449, and then a forfeiture in the amount of $813,297,000 $813,912. Did I say that right?
I don't know. That was a big number.
$813,297,912. Yes. So sometimes you got to go back to like basic elementary school where they used to teach you how to read numbers. And I thought, I'm never going to use that. And here I am.
So in essence, he was trying to get money for nothing.
Yes. And his chicks for free.
Oh,
yes.
there it is.
I like the tie-in.
You picked it up.
And
like
actually,
it.
and I'm sure he did get a lot of chicks for free because they said that he lived an extremely lavish lifestyle.
Okay.
And he would subsidize his gambling habits and his private jet. And he also paid off, which I thought was really funny, he paid off $25,000 in back child support and alimony on somebody else's dime. But the thing that makes this so interesting, and we haven't really gotten into how these work too much on this podcast, is that he used it as a Ponzi scheme. So some of you guys, and I cover this in my book, some of you guys may remember in 2008, Bernie Madoff. And there was a huge deal with Bernie Madoff, and he was, at the time, I believe, accused of running the biggest Ponzi scheme that we had seen in, I don't know, I think just forever.
Maybe since Ponzi.
Maybe since Ponzi started, yeah. And I really wish I knew why it's called a Ponzi scheme. I'm sure it is probably named after
it's named
somebody.
after a guy named Ponzi. I heard the story, but I don't recall what it is. But yeah, it's a guy named Ponzi.
Okay, so there you go. That's why it's called Ponzi scheme.
Yeah.
So, all right, Stormy's getting my back on this. So how a Ponzi scheme works is that, you have, Zoe and Stormy and I, and, I go to an investment advisor and I give him $1 million. Okay. And the investment advisor says, great, I'm going to start investing your money. And I go, great, thank you. And then what happens is the Stormy comes in behind me and Stormy gives the advisor $1 million. And then the advisor says, great, I'm going to start investing for you and making money. And then what he does is he uses Stormy's new $1 million to help pay me in fake returns. I'm air quoting, but nobody can see it. In fake, if you're on the visual, you can see it, but in fake returns. Then what happens is that Zoe comes in and Zoe gives $1 million to the investment advisor. Then the investment advisor says, thank you, Zoe. I'm going to start investing your money and start making money for you. And then what's going to happen is that then he's going to take Zoe's money and he's going to pay Stormy's made up returns. And so this continues to happen as long as there's always new money coming into the system and you can always pay out these fake returns. In the case of Bernie Madoff, when 2008 hit, everybody was so freaked out about everything that happened that they immediately ran on the bank. They ran to him and they're like, give me all my money. I'm terrified of the market. We've talked about 2008 to death on this podcast. And his whole house of cards fell. So, but Bernie Madoff was doing it because it was his own super duper private investment firm. They were generating statements with fake returns.
Wow.
Yeah, and people are looking at their statement and like, oh my God, I'm killing it. Well, you're not killing it. And so what ended up happening is that when everybody started withdrawing money and then nobody else started investing because nobody wanted to invest in 2008 because they were terrified, everything completely folded. So this gentleman from Japan did the exact same thing. So apparently it was kind of like the Fire Festival I tied it to, is that when he had originally done something and owed a lot of people money. So he goes and gets all this extra money from Japan. And we've talked about population. Japan has an aging population. So these are older people, which is fucked up. You don't do that to older people. And anyway, so they took the money and they gave it to this guy. And this guy said, great, I'm going to take this to my Vegas office. And he ended up buying, property in Beverly Hills and had this big jet set lifestyle. And so they actually did put his ass in jail. They got him on 20 indictments. And he went to jail for, and I should have highlighted this, he was accused of, he was found guilty, after a 5-week trial. Now, so when this guy first got caught, this was the date of...
I would have went up to him and said, did you steal my money?
Would you?
The Who. Just wanted to bring that in.
Oh my gosh, is that a song?
Yes.
Did
you steal my money by The Who?
Oh my God, I love that. Yeah.
Or if I was him, I would have been like, ka-ching, Shania Twain. I'm a baller.
Oh my God, ka-ching.
Ka-ching by Shania Twain.
Okay, all right.
Did you steal my money by The Who?
All right, I'm liking it. You know what? You're impressing me.
When I didn't get my money, I would have said, "You never give me You never give me your money. The Beatles.
Really?
Oh, I'm crushing it. I'm just crushing it. I'm good.
You are. And the thing is that the Beatles, the Who, they're all people.
Okay.
Shania Twain, I don't really know. You got
Well,
another
I'll give
one?
you one, yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
I would also say, I ain't nothing but a gold digger.
I do like that song.
Okay, there
That's
it
a
is.
good
There's
song.
another one.
When I was still going to clubs, that song was out, which we'll wrap this back around to clubs in a minute. But
Wait,
no,
I
I
got
like
one
that.
more.
Okay, one more.
Because
Go
I would
ahead.
also tell them, money won't change you.
Money won't change you.
Yeah.
That actually, who sings that, first of all?
James Brown.
James Brown, really?
Yeah, it was all about For the Love of Money. The OJs.
Yeah, I was say that's the OJs. I was like, so this is a debate that me and Meech have been having back and forth. I believe that money does not change people. I believe that money amplifies who they've always been. So what is your take on that? I'm just curious.
Nah, I'd say money changed people.
You think money changes people,
Yeah,
really?
yeah.
And why?
All right, amplifies who they've always been. Wow, that's a pretty good one. Let me just think. Get a little bit of money. Yeah, well, you know what? I think, and here's why I will say that.
Okay.
Let's say if, and it changes some people absolutely for the wrong, but let's say if you've always been that outcast, never been able to get friends, you've always wanted friends, and now you get a little bit of money and people start to use you and abuse you. Mm-hmm. Because you have money, they're friends with your money, they're not friends with you.
Right.
And because they're friends with money and now you think you're part of this in crowd, you're still not part of the in crowd, they're just using you and you don't know that it's happening. But then now maybe you start to
Believe the hype
and start acting the same way as the people that you despised not that long ago.
Well, the lonely angle is interesting.
Yeah.
And because a lot of people, when they get a lot of hangers on, even though they thought that's what they wanted, they end up hating it, and then they revert back to wanting to be by themselves, but they're usually deep into drugs or lavish spending or something like that. So, I mean, I would still go, yeah, but they kind of always like that. It's been in my experience that if a person is an asshole, money makes them a bigger asshole, and it makes them a more lavish spending asshole. And we'll take this back to some of the stories here about Las Vegas, but it's just an ongoing debate. And if anybody wants to weigh in on that on social media, I would love to hear from you. But getting back to our Japanese gentleman, they first got him July 9th of 2015. And it was not until November 29th of 2018, this is how many years these things
4
take.
years?
Mm-hmm, that they finally got him. So he was 68 when it happened, 72 when they actually fined him, and he was found guilty of 9 counts of wire fraud, 3 counts of money laundering in connection with the Ponzi scheme. And so, of course, this crossed different country lines, and he was... I'm trying to find it here, and I really should have highlighted it, so I apologize, guys. But he was sentenced to jail time. I want to say 50 years. I believe I remember reading in here. So the thing is that the guy's a complete tool, and now he's in jail. If he's even still alive at this point, I'm not really sure. So I looked up, according to Sun, which is a state of Nevada, I looked up 10 tips from the state of Nevada to avoid investment fraud. So I'm going to go through this very quickly. So 1, check out the person offering investment details. So, and it just basically says that...
The ladies are always checking me out. Now what?
Well, they're in this case, they're referring to securities.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Sorry,
My
it's
bad,
not like
my
it's
bad.
not like a match profile.
Okay, my apologies.
Yeah. So they're basically saying check them out, make sure they're actually security registered and licensed.
Okay.
Tip 2, beware of high pressure tactics. So somebody who wants you to make the decision right now. Like you have to say yes right now because, this is happening, this is closing or whatever. Exercise particular caution if you lack financial experience. That's kind of a given. I would hope that anybody out there would want to be cautious if it's their first rodeo, Tip 4, which I love, keep in mind that good manners don't indicate personal integrity. So I fucking say that just because people cuss does not mean that they do not have integrity, which seems to be a theme that's reoccurring. So basically, I'm all right, is what I'm saying.
I
I might. Okay, so 5, watch out for salespeople who prey on your fears. Now, this one I'm kind of mixed emotions to, and their explanation is this. It is common for swindlers to pitch their schemes as a way to eliminate your financial fears of the future. Remember, fear and greed can cloud your good judgment. But as part of an investment advisor's job, you have to find road bumps that could derail somebody, and it's usually what they're afraid of. But you have to talk about long-term care, and you have to talk about running out of money before retirement. You have to talk about taxes. I mean, it's not fun, but you're not doing your job if you don't. So I was kind of on the fence on that one. Exercise particular caution if you are an older citizen. We've talked about that. Monitor your investment and ask tough questions. And for me, I always tell my clients, if you have a problem, you have a question, tell me, because I don't want something to happen and then you come to me and go, well, why are we doing this? We're doing this because we've had long discussions documented that we did this because of XYZ. So that for me is a huge one. Look out for trouble when retrieving your principal or cashing out profits. Report investment fraud or abuse immediately, which is also obviously pretty important. And then the very last one, according to the state of Nevada, is beware of reload scams. Now, I have never heard of a reload scam at all, so I'm going to read you what the state of Nevada says a reload scam is. Con artists often use investment losses to scare you into a second scam. To recoup their losses, victims sometimes invest in another scheme, a reload, also a really shitty album by Metallica, in which the con artist promises to make good the original loss and may offer new higher returns. Often the results is only more losses. So there's a couple different ways.
Wow, they get you twice.
And there's if you're buying something from an investment advisor, there's you can do it normally, what everybody does, but then there's these things called private placements, which if you have an investment vehicle, it needs to be approved by the SEC, and the person that's selling it to you is monitored by FINRA, and it's a whole thing. But if you're super rich or you have over a certain amount of net either income or net worth, not including your primary residence, then you qualify as an affluent investor. Mm-hmm. And then you get to have access to these things that are private placements, which are not regulated by the SEC. And, you got to really know what you're getting into. So getting back to my story from the Halloween episode, and I always tell my guy friends coming into town, what?
Wait, no, before you get back to the story.
What?
You ever see the episode of Stewie from Family Guy, Where's My Money?
Yes.
I would do a Where's My Money
Oh, my God.
on these people. So if you haven't seen it, if you're listening to this, go to YouTube.
Yep.
And search.
Where's my money, bitch?
Where's my money? Stewie, where's my money?
Right, Stewie to Brian. And
That's how you handle it. Absolutely. It's
yeah, and Stewie just kicks his ass for like 15 minutes,
Absolutely.
and it's hilarious.
Absolutely.
And I wasn't expecting that, so it was great. But so when we last talked on our Halloween episode, we were talking a little bit about how so for tourists who might be coming down here, specifically millennials and or younger Gen Xers, when you come down here, what you're going to find is you're going to find a lot of VIP hosts and their private hosts. And they're going to be handing you out these little cards to get VIP into a club, okay? So if you're coming down here for the first time and you're super excited, you'll be like, fuck yeah, I got VIP. We got to go to this club. We got to go to this club. Well, on each of those cards, there's a little signature or a name or something that makes the marker showing that this VIP host gave you this pass. So when I first came down here, I was like, hell yeah, let's VIP. Like, I'm feeling like I'm awesome. Well, there's the regular line to the club. And then there's the VIP line to the club. And then there's the table line to the club.
Wait, there's 3 lines?
There's 3 lines.
There's a table line.
There's a table line.
I can go get in the table line.
If you buy a table and
I don't want to
bottle
buy a
service.
table. I just want to get in the table line.
Yeah, you can get there, but they're not going to let you in.
Oh, that's a problem.
Yeah, so as we talked about on the last episode, during New Year's, table bottle service can be about $10,000 at a table on the Strip. And we're talking about, again, just to reiterate, a little tiny round table. Maybe buy a plush couch. It has a carafe of like 7-Up and orange juice and cranberry juice, and then you buy a bottle of vodka. And the club gets to set their restrictions. So they might say, hey, we're only going to give you, for each bottle, it's like 1 bottle per 4 people. So if you have 16 people, you're automatically having to buy 4 bottles. Okay. And then the waitress comes over and she mixes a drink out of your bottle of your own shit. And then, of course, there's typically an 18% gratuity that is automatically added on it. But what happens a lot of times, and I tell my men folk, my male friends who come into town, I'm like, you need to watch out because this is what I've seen happen time and time again. Guys come in, it's usually a pack of guys, 4 to 6 guys. They go to a club and they get table service and they're going to buy a bottle, maybe 2 bottles. Okay. So maybe on a normal night, you're thinking, maybe $1,500 to $2,000 for them to have a table at the club. And of course they think they're going to get some women and they want to be, a big shot in a club in Vegas and sit and getting bottle service. And of course, blow up social media like they're bawling out. So what ends up happening is that, there's these girls that I've seen that they hang out right in front of like the velvet rope would be because you can't go in and out of there. You have to go past a security guard. And what ends up happening is that, they get invited into the VIP section by these guys who are usually pretty socially lubricated at that point with lots of alcohol. So the girls come in. Now, this is the deal. And I don't know if they still do this, but as of just recently, I've still seen it. So I'm thinking that they still do. So what ends up happening is that dude, let's say, you got 10 guys. Okay, bachelor party. That's a big one. You got dudes. They got, somebody puts the credit card down and they're going to get however many bottles. Well, then what happens is that the girls come up. So now let's say these 10 fictional guys are chilling with 4, 5, 6 girls. And then of course, like, oh, can I bring my friend? And of course the guy's like, hell yeah, more chicks. And of course, all the girls are wearing these little tiny dresses where they pull up at the top and pull down at the bottom and heels that they've never worn before in their life. And the waitress comes up and she goes to pick up the bottle and the bottle's empty. And so she does this and then she looks at whoever's next to her, which is usually the girls.
Okay.
Hey, do you guys want another bottle? Yes. So what happens is that here comes another bottle. Now these 10 guys, you can go out on the dance floor, but if you're in the VIP section with the table, you don't. You just dance at your table. And I have a funny story about that too. So everybody's dancing at the table. And so what happens is everybody's fucked up. And another bottle shows up. Nobody knows where the bottle came from, but they're like, hell yeah, we got another bottle. And so then they crack that open. And then what you can also do is you can also order, because like sometimes when I've been in VIP, I don't like what they're drinking. Like if it's, Hennessy or something like that, I just don't like that shit. So because I'm a good girl, buy my own drinks separately on my own tab, but you just tell the waitress, hey, I want a separate tab. I want vodka or, whatever.
Right.
But if not, she's like, oh, do you guys want something? Yeah, we want this. So then what happens is these guys are, partying. They're trying to get in the girls' pants. I mean, it's Vegas. This is what happens. And the girls in the meantime are like, God, they get to sit down because we've already talked about how there's no seats in the fucking clubs in Vegas on purpose. The girls get to sit down. They're sitting in VIP. They're taking pictures of, with themselves with their fucking duck lips and all this stuff. And in the meantime, bills are racking up. Then what ends up happening, so if you're a girl, I guarantee you've done this. If not, then I'm a horrible person because I've done this more than once. I've been on the dance floor. A guy's liked me, and I'm like, hey, let me go to the bathroom, and I'm going to come back. And I'm fucking out. Like, I go to the bathroom, and then I'm avoiding him like the plague. But I don't like guys buy me drinks. So if I don't know them. You know what I mean? Because I don't want to be bound to them. But anyway, and so these poor guys, these girls jet out. And they're out, and they've already taken off their shoes, and they're walking barefoot through the fucking casino, which is disgusting, y'all. And here comes this huge receipt with 18% gratuity, and you will see guys at the end of the night.
And sales tax.
And I don't know if they put the. I know when you buy.
I think there's live entertainment tax here.
Yeah,
it's 10%. So live entertainment tax, gratuity 18 to 20%. Mm-hmm. Plus sales tax. That's another.
That's a lot of fucking tax, dude.
20 plus 10, 8. That's like another 38%. So you got 38% added, 40% added to your bill.
Right. And no chicks. So this happens over and over and over again. And the thing is, I've never understood when I've gotten bottle service, I've never understood how the guys do not catch on to the scams. And so getting back to the 3 lines. So there's 3 lines. So if you have a regular line, that means you stand there the longest. Okay. But if you have a VIP, one of these little cards, you're in the VIP line, but you're still waiting and you still have to pay to get in. So the whole point of VIP and in the clubs here in Vegas, like for dudes, sometimes if you're out of town, it's like $75, $50 to $75 for entry in the club. And girls, if you're a local, they used to let you in free. Now they don't anymore. So now it's going to be $25 to $50 if you're a chickie that is out of state. And then, of course, you go in there. That's $100 less you can drink.
Right.
And then you have no place to sit. So if you have a table reservation, they take you in first because they want to get you drinking. They want to get you drinking like ASAP. They want to get those bottles flowing and popping. And then everybody else just kind of waits there. And then that's when you have it where the lines just keep building and building and building. And there's nobody in the fucking club, but the lines look like they're out the door. It looks like the whole club is popping.
Right.
So I have friends here that work in high-end retail. And so prostitution is legal in Pahrump, but it is not legal in Las Vegas city limits.
What?
I know. I know. But if you have spent any time on the Strip, Stormy, I'm sure you've seen the huge semi truck with the 3 girls on it.
Girls direct to your room.
Girls direct to your
Yes.
room. And I'm like, huh. So I don't know specifically if the girls are dancing or stripping, but, and then I had a friend who went into a very well-known strip club down here, and they've pretty much turned into brothels where it was slow. Hey, I'll knock it down. You want to go in the champagne room, blah, blah, blah. And then after about 10 minutes of that, hey, puts a condom on the table.
Come on.
I'm dead serious. Like, hey, do you want this to get even more interesting? And so there's a ton of scams that go on. And
that sounds cheaper than the dance floor.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's the table service, right?
Cheaper than the table service.
But you can get table service at the strip clubs as well.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Interesting.
Yep. So you see that a lot of times, and they make a big to-do with the sparklers, and oh my God, these guys are, whatever. And of course, the dancers, they're like, whoop, because they're like, okay, somebody has money over there.
Oh, right. So that's the
and it's like girls ascend on them. But so I talked to some of my friends who work in the casinos, and I'm like, hey, give me some stories that you've experienced. So going on like the prostitution tip, there's a lot of girls that frequent down here that are not prostitutes. But what started to happen is that it seems like their currency is high-end retail. So you'll have a whale come into town.
Okay.
He'll get a whole bunch of girls that, their bodies are amazing. They're super young and super hot. And, he takes them to really nice restaurants, like super, super expensive restaurants, which, in my opinion, the food doesn't taste what you're paying. But, and instead of like paying them, he buys them stuff. He buys them like Louis Vuitton bags. And, I don't really understand high-end retail, but there's tons of high-end retail down here in Las Vegas. And there's actually been a shift from gambling to nightlife and shopping, high-end shopping. So they'll just come through and he'll buy like purses for everybody, and then they go buy, whatever. And so that's kind of the currency. So I was talking to one of my friends who works at a casino, and he was saying that what he sees happen a lot is that these guys, whales, again, these guys come in and they, hang out with, I don't know, anywhere from 10 to 20 girls for the weekend, depending on how much money the dude has. And then the guy's like, okay, you guys can chill here. I'm going to check out. And go home to his wife. Most often it's what happens. And so the guy closes out and he's out, and the chicks are chilling in the room. Well, when the maid comes up to clean, the chicks are still chilling in the room. Social media, look at me, I'm a baller in this fucking suite somewhere. And the lady's like, y'all gotta go. I gotta clean this. Like, your dude's checked out, so get to getting it. And they take, so when you have these suites, you have bars, not many bars like you and I get, where you go in, you're like, oh, the mini bar, it's like $7 for this little shot of vodka. No, I'm talking about bars like with Johnny Walker Blue and
the full bottles,
bottles,
okay,
yeah, expensive shit, tequila, the 1800 Cuervo and stuff like that. And what happens is these girls go through and they take all of the bottles off the bar, and they just start taking shit and putting them in their purses.
Okay.
And then they roll out. And then what happens is that when the maid comes in, they have to do inventory of everything that was taken out of the room so that they can roll it up to the bill. Well, all the fucking bottles are done. And so these markups are like 3 times. Okay. These profit margins. If you're And that's not if you're in like a super, super high-end hotel down here. That's if you're just in like a normal suite hotel, where the suites are nice. They're not designed for common folk.
Well, if the guy just bought them all Louis Vuitton purses, I'm sure adding another few grand for booze makes no difference.
Yeah, and they clean it out. And then
Wow.
what ends up happening is that then they charge the dude, and the guy's like, no, I checked out. He's like, yeah, but you left these ladies in your hotel and they cleaned out all your shit.
Interesting.
So, and the thing is that my question was, do they charge it back? Because, you can, if you're charging something on a credit card, it is your right as a consumer that if you have a dispute, you can charge it back. So they do try to charge it back. But of course the casino's like, hey, look, we have proof that he was here and we have proof that this is what was gone, and the charges stay.
Wow.
So, and then the very last story that is not really have anything to do with cons, but I found this completely amazing, was that apparently the major hotels on the Strip. Now, for those of you who've never been to Las Vegas has, like MGM, for instance. I have no idea how many rooms. Actually, can you see how many rooms MGM might have, Stormy?
I think MGM is over 5,000 rooms.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah,
I know that at any given time, there's like 30,000 people in that casino. So this is tourists coming through. This is people staying in the rooms. This is your dealers. This is all of your employees. This is housekeeping. It is literally a small city within just that one casino. And there is a lot of casinos that are very large, just like that on the Strip with
6,852 rooms.
Wow. So 6,852 rooms. So between everybody in and out of there, assuming it's not a holiday like New Year's, where all of a sudden our population just swells, they have, enough for a small city. So literally everything could get leveled by a nuclear bomb. MGM could stay standing and they could repopulate the earth with the amount of people they have in there, which would be a good time. But so the deal is that I found out that on the major Strip hotels, at least once to twice a week, dead bodies in the rooms.
Come on.
Dead bodies in the rooms, because what happens is that people come down to Vegas and they do a couple different things.
Oh, drugs.
They've had people come in where they're like, I'm going to drink myself to death, and they just keep drinking and drinking and drinking because they don't want to live anymore.
They really drink themselves to death. I mean, they want to drink themselves to death. Okay.
Absolutely. Or they come down and they just go out, hookers and blow, and do the whole thing, and then they commit suicide and they hang themselves in the room or something like that. Usually not shooting, because you can hear that kind of stuff. But it is very, very normal to find 1 to 2 dead bodies per week in those major hotels. So that would be like MGM and then the Venetian, and then so like this is multiple times. So I really wonder how they wheel those people out of there without having other people see, because you can't be wheeling a corpse through the play area, because that's not good for business.
Right.
So, yeah, so there's
just... back elevator. I think there's a song called Hookers and Blow.
Is there a song called Hookers and Blow?
I think there's either a band or a song. Look it up. There's something called Hookers and Blow. There is a
Vegas band, shout out, called Hookers and Blow. But I do think it is also a song, or it's just a saying. And so with all of that said, I still love this city. I still love the shit out of this city. I really do. But that is just a small inkling of some of the Las Vegas hustles. So, guys,
well, let me ask you a question.
Be careful.
Because
and girls, be careful too, because I think we have trafficking coming through here. So don't get roofied. Don't take a drink you haven't seen.
Well, I think I'm okay, because let me just tell you, I've got a system.
Okay.
So every time I go to a strip club,
right,
all the girls who give me dances, they're all in nursing school.
In nursing school.
Yeah. They're all just doing this temporarily.
Oh,
they're all in nursing school.
Yeah, or
do I get lucky? Am I getting all the nurses?
I think you are. And
is that?
But my friends get all the real estate people, so they're also they're working to get their real estate license.
Oh, they're working to get their real estate license. Interesting.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And the thing that's so sad is that
a real estate license is like $200. It's pretty cheap.
Well, but you do got to study for it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe there's a school you go to.
The school, it's like $500.
Yeah, and the thing is that I don't, I mean, I feel for some of the strippers down here, because you have to understand that you have a shelf life, and if you were smart with your money, then you could start investing it, and then you could be prepared that when you're tired of stripping, or when you hit your 40s and you can no longer strip anymore, then you have enough of a nest egg that you can go back to school or finally get that nursing nursing degree
degree.
or whatever. Yeah. So anyway, so like I said, that's just a little touch of our home that we call Las Vegas.
Absolutely.
But again, I love it. I love this city, and I have one more story about VIP.
Absolutely.
Okay. So we were in Hakkasan. This was a number of years ago, which is I believe it is in the Bellagio, and we were at a table, and next to us was, 10 to 15 girls at a bachelorette party, and they had gotten a table, and it was just them. There was no dudes, and they were dancing, and it was like if you go into Denny's and it's like a corner booth, so it's like a half moon booth. And then, then there's that little tiny square table. In this instance, they were square tables. And, so they're wasted. I have no idea how long they had been there for. And they were to the left of us, and they were sitting there, and they were, drinking and partying and having a good time. And you know how if you have a booth that's like a moon booth, there's a landing from like the cushion to the wall, like a flat area. You know what I mean? Like it's not like a couch you would have in your house where it just, you have the back of the couch and nothing. This is built into the wall.
Okay.
So there's like platforms. So the girls are wasted. They're all in little tiny dresses, and they're dancing and woo, Vegas, and drinking, whatever. And so we're sitting there, and they're having a good time, and they're being rambunctious, but hey, do you, whatever. So we're just sitting there having a good time, talking, having a couple drinks. And all of a sudden we hear this like that. And we look over, and all we see is like, all the girls came from everywhere and just was on top of this girl. So this girl was dancing on top of that flat part of the booth, woo, dance the music. She fell. She lost her footing. She fell face first, and her face caught the edge of the square table.
Wow.
And so this was the first time I had ever seen that, and we were literally right next to the table. And so all of a sudden, it was like flashlights from security came out of nowhere, and they're sitting there, and they're like flashing lights, trying to figure out what's going on. We're trying to see what's going on. The people on the dance floor don't give a shit. Like, they're not even looking. We're looking because it's right next to us. We can't see anything. And you hear all these women scrambling, and plus they're all still drunk. They're still drunk. So their friend just got hurt, but they're all still messed up. And so they're sitting there, and they're like trying to get her on her feet. And then all of a sudden, we see all this stuff. So then we see the first aid from the casino come in, and her face was all busted. But this is the thing that blew my mind. So most of the girls left. Like, they literally were like out of there. There was only one chick that stayed with her friend, which I thought, wow, that's kind of fucked up, know? So one chick stayed with her friend, maybe two, but the other one they just grabbed their shoes and left. They're like, fuck it, we're out of here. Party's over. And this girl is getting wheeled out in the middle of, this like booming club. And she's in like one, where it's the hospital bed, but it's raised. So she's like sitting up. Her face is completely bloodied, whatever. But this is what fucking tripped me out, is that we're sitting there and I'm going, holy crap. Soon as they get her out of there, and soon as they get the remaining girls go with their friend, now the whole booth is sitting there, with like half drink bottle, all kinds of stuff. And here comes just the club crew just descends on this booth. And I sit in amazement, and I'm watching, and they have flashlights, and it's like 3 or 4 flashlights, and they're taking and they're pulling out the cushions, and they're spraying it down, and they're wiping. They turned that booth over in 10 minutes and seated somebody 5 minutes later. And we're sitting there, and we're looking at this booth that was covered in blood get wiped down by like 4 or 5 people. Like, it was like a crime scene cleanup with spray bottles and rags, and they flipped over everything, cleaned it off, cleaned up the thing, checked the floor, made sure there was, I guess, no blood or not enough blood there. And then literally 5 minutes later, these people who just happened to want a table just fucking ushered them right in, and they sat down, and we're looking at them and we're thinking,
nice.
Do you know what just happened there? Like, not even 15 minutes ago. You're literally sitting where a woman just like bust, and I think like she broke an eyesight. Like, she was fucked up.
Wow.
And she was at the top. So anyway, I know that this episode's running a little bit long, but that is the shit that you see in Vegas. So.
Well, there it is.
There it is. So that is our episode for today.
Absolutely.
And next time you hear us, we will be back to full capacity with all three of us. And make sure you follow us on social media at Finances the Other F Word, and on Twitter. We keep saying Twitter, but I guess we just don't do a good job on Twitter.
Yeah, forget Twitter.
Yeah, so you know what? Just follow us find us on Facebook at Finances the Other F Word, and on Instagram at Finances the Other F Word, and we will catch you later.
And wherever you get your podcasts.
Podcasts. And subscribe, damn
Absolutely.
it. And like us. And by the way, Honolulu, shout out. You guys have really, all of a sudden, Hawaii's just blown up our screen.
There it is, Hawaii.
Appreciate the downloads. And they're probably stormettes.
Most likely.
Of course. All right. Well, thank you. We'll catch you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. If you like us, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.